Oh,
Good evening, good evening. Thank you to Susan Lee just now. That was really good. Now we have got Mark. He calls himself Memphis Mark. He comes,
Mark Memphis.
okay then, Mark Memphis. He comes all
Yeah.
the way from Memphis. Poor Mark.
Via
No,
Bradford.
yeah, by Bradford. Anyway, guys, don't forget, we got a really good artist on after Mark. So stay tuned for that. Really good. She make things out of a little circle and really good. But tonight we're talking about mental health and other bits and pieces. What we usually do on a Monday night with Mark himself. Mark, how have you been over the weekend? Been watching the football?
No,
No.
I don't
Well,
like football.
he doesn't like football, so he's boring. England.
What?
What?
No.
All right. Have you had any gigs?
Yeah, I had one last night,
All right.
which
How
went
did you
very
get on?
well. Very well. Went very well. It's a place I've sung at a few times over the years, and people are just happy to be out and, you know, grabbing hold of life again, it would seem. People have missed live music, and yeah, the
Okay.
audiences have been very receptive up to now.
Good. Okay, so what are we? What do you want to talk about tonight?
Well, I think after what we have been discussing over the past few weeks, um, it's been a little bit heavy and it's been a little bit um, serious, and rightfully so. But I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to talk about how to be nice to yourself when you are feeling depressed or distressed or stressed.
Okay.
When your mental health is not in the best of places, um, explore what we can do to make ourselves feel better, and also explore the things that we perhaps shouldn't be doing to make ourselves feel better.
So when you feel better, what do you do? Do you treat yourself?
When I feel bad,
Yeah.
yes, um, and again, we've said this before. You need to try and remember certain things when you are in that particular zone. And the things that you should be thinking about are the obvious things, like it's temporary, like it might not be such a terrible thing. And you need to remember that you're not a bad person, and something terrible might well be happening to you. And there's nothing wrong with trying to make things a little easier for yourself and to make things pleasant for yourself. It's possible to do it, even though it might not be obvious, because you might be feeling guilty that something's happened. You might feel some self-loathing because something has happened. You might feel a lot of regret. And thinking of nice, positive things, I think, is possibly the last thing on anyone's mind when you're in that particular zone, using that word again. And there's things you can do for yourself. And I suppose the way to look at it is, if you had a friend or if you had a family member, take yourself out of your situation and imagine it's somebody that's close to you or dear to you going through it. You would want to try and make life better for that person. So why can't you look at yourself like that? Why can't you try to make life a little bit more bearable for yourself, like you would with somebody else? Um, and I think, like I say, it's not an obvious thing to consider when you're feeling particularly low. And I think
So
it's
what
something
what
that
do
you should
you
do.
suggest? What would you suggest that we do to kind of make ourselves more kind of loved? Probably. Do we have to love ourselves, or do we? What do we need to do?
I don't think it needs to be quite that intense, really. Although ultimately that should be a direction you try to push yourself towards, or a position to crawl back to. I think it needs to be something quite simple, really. It's, I just think it's very, very easy to fall into a mindset where you can't do that thing that you enjoy doing because, life is so terrible at the moment, and you lose your interest in things and you lose your mojo for things. And that's perfectly, I've said it before, that's a perfectly natural human reaction, and you shouldn't ignore that. You should go with the flow and all the rest of it. But again, nothing is forever. It's a temporary thing, and the things that you can do for yourself, you should class those as like a temporary fix to help you get on the way back to where you want to be, or where you should be. Things that you can do for yourself are very, very, very simple,
Right. Okay.
Unsophisticated things.
Yeah. Sometimes though, when we're having our down days or really, really depressed and everything, sometimes we punish ourselves. We do things. We think that sometimes we look at ourselves and we think, oh well, I'm not, I'm not worthy for this and not worthy for that, and we can be easy, kind of, what can I say, easy to be horrible to our own selves. Do you agree?
That's it. Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. That whole thing, these seem to be like default settings that most of us would fall into when we're feeling depressed. That's the self-loathing I was talking about earlier on, where you just get it into your head that I can't possibly even think about having a nice time or doing something pleasurable because you're so wrapped up in what's happened. And like I say, you might feel guilt, and then you'll be blaming yourself, and you'll be hating yourself, and you'll be very negative, and you'll think that you're absolutely worthless, which of course you weren't really. When things are going well, those thoughts don't necessarily entertain themselves inside your head. And again, it's just that whole thing of trying to push forward the idea to yourself. You might not want to grab it at that moment in time when the whole world is ending suddenly because of X, Y, and Z, but just be mindful that you are allowed to enjoy life and do the things that make you happy, really. It could be watching a box set on Netflix, because I think you have to be a little bit selfish, and I think it's okay to be a little bit, and I know there I say a little bit, self-absorbed perhaps when you first enter that that mode of being depressed when something has happened, and allow yourself the luxury of being selfish and self-absorbed. Binge watch a box set on Netflix if that's what would make you happy. Don't worry about the fact that you haven't got dressed for 4 days. You are allowed to recover from something that's terrible. So why not try and find something that you would normally enjoy, and don't feel guilty about enjoying it?
Yeah. Because we keep putting ourselves down too much, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when, like I say, when you're feeling depressed, and it's usually, if you're of a very poor mental mindset, it's very. I think sometimes it's very natural to actually take full responsibility for the terrible things that have happened to you. I know I've lost my job because I'm such a terrible whatever. That person has ended the relationship or the friendship because I'm such a horrible person, and it's probably not that at all. The blame probably lies with the other person, perhaps more so. It's them that's ended the relationship. It's them that's ended the friendship, and unless you've done something terrible, and you'd know that. Yeah. But yeah, I think that whole self-loathing that you're talking about there is too common, really.
I think we just got to start loving ourselves more, and don't be harsh, more with ourselves. And when things happen, sometimes it happens because it's life, and also, I think we just need to kind of pat ourselves on the back and say, okay,
Mm.
I've been through that, but I'm going to stand back up again and keep going. I think we sometimes we feel that we haven't got the energy to do
Yeah.
anything, give up when life is getting really hard.
Well, I think when life does get hard and you are in that terrible place, it's very, very easy to lose sight of practically everything, I suppose. And yeah, and that whole thing of loving yourself and liking yourself, which is something I still haven't mastered. I'm 52 now, and
Yeah,
I'd like to think there's going to come a day when I will be totally at ease with myself, but I'm not. I'm a lot better at it now than what I was. And
yeah,
I've spoken about going for cognitive behaviour therapy. And one thing that I took away from that, another thing I took away from that, is constantly reminding myself that I'm not a bad person. And
no, you're great. You're a good person.
oh, the check's in the post, Steve, as
I love
always.
you, Mark. Well, not in that way, but
Why not?
I'm married, mate, and I'm not gay.
Ah,
I'm sorry.
oh well, your loss. Anyway, but no, but that thing, that whole thing of just losing sight of the person that you are. You just got to keep telling yourself that you're an okay person, and you didn't necessarily deserve what happened to you. And the whole thing about being good to yourself, it should be part of the recovery,
Yeah, yeah,
the
totally
road to
agree.
recovery. And I think the message that I'd like to push out tonight is very, very simple. It's, being good to yourself, I think, is a huge part of that road to recovery.
Mm, yeah, I don't like myself very much. Um, when I was younger, I didn't used to like myself when I was younger, and I still don't now. But I'm trying to sort. I never used to do nothing like this, go on lives and nothing like that
Mm.
until my church. Until when I started going to church and going on to their um, Bible studies and stuff, then I started going on there, but I wasn't showing my face. And one day they said, "Show your face," and they go, "Oh, that's better." And then ever since then, I've been doing this. So, but I think sometimes we need to kind of have some self-respect and also begin to love ourselves. Not to do selfies all the time, look in the mirror and put our makeup on and everything.
No, no,
But
loving ourselves. I would probably use the term self-validation.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right? Because love yourself does sound quite conceited
yeah.
and quite vain. Like yourself, I would never walk past a mirror and think, "Oh my God, look at you. You're wonderful." Um, that would be the last thing I would want to say about my reflection. But yeah, and I suppose as well, I think it's kind of drilled into you a little bit that it is a conceited thing, and
Mm.
so to have this sense of self-interest, it can be a negative thing because people will then say like that you're too self-absorbed, you're too selfish, and it's not the case at all.
Mm.
Because
Yeah,
there are people that genuinely love themselves, and I'm talking about they think they are the bee's knees, and by and large, these people are
yeah.
very, very unpleasant people to be around, and
Mhm.
it's horrible. Yeah.
I know somebody. I know quite a few. I've had people on here that they love themselves too much, but hey oh, everybody to their own, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
I've had some people on here, and yeah, I think yes, only if I had a gun, No,
Well,
I
listen,
didn't say.
what you meant to say, water pistol there. I know.
Yeah, yeah,
But
water pistol. Water
but
pistol.
it's such a turn off, isn't it, to be presented with people like that? And it's got nothing to. I mean, there's people I admire, and there's people I can look at and think, oh, you know, you've got everything, and there can be a little bit of envy creeping in.
Mm,
And the great thing about these people is they don't see that about themselves, or they don't project that Mr. Wonderful or Mrs.
mm.
Fantastic persona. And they're brilliant people. It's these, you know, there's these self-absorbed figures, you know, just horrible. Anyway, how do we get onto these people?
Anyway, I because it's about kind of love and everything
Yeah.
and being, but I had an email today from a friend of mine. Well, sort of a friend, and he was a top person, manager, and everything. And every time I used to see him, he used to snuff me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he found out that I'm doing this like extra stroke club thing. So
Right.
I said to him, I said, so he contacted me out of the blue, and he said, Steve, he said, I would like to help you to do my to do your um to do your walk, your sponsored walk and everything. I said, oh, okay then. I'd like to come along and gig for you. I said, what do you do? He said, I'm a drag artist, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, right, okay, okay. Then he said, yeah, he said, but I've got something to tell you. I said, right, okay. He said, do you know when I used to put you down, say that you're this and that and that? Well, I've been in the psychiatric hospital for depression. I said, oh, okay, okay. So they said, you're not going to laugh at it. I said, no, mate, because I've been at the same time. But the time when I was in hospital is when the time when you were laughing at me, but I'm not laughing now.
Mm-hmm.
And and you know what I mean. So I think sometimes is you know what people do to us, it goes around in a circle, and eventually. But the trouble is, there's too much hate out there going on, and I think
Yeah.
what people's got to realise is that they stop the stigma and start kind of being more kind of more loving to each other. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
kind of be respectful to each other, and and also be respectful to our own selves,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes we do kind of like put ourselves down a lot, and we say we're useless, this and that, and I don't, and we're not.
It isn't hate though a strange thing because it's it's such a waste of energy,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's such a waste of time. Yeah, it's again, it seems to be like a normal a normal reaction,
Mm,
and it's and that I think it's like trying, I think the key again is trying to find a balance, and because there's going to be people in life that do you wrong, and there's going to be people in life that do me wrong, and we're not going to like them. We're not going to feel compelled to love them or to see things from their perspective.
mm,
But I think going back to what we were talking about last week about the whole thing of letting go of things and the huge amount of effort that takes, I think you can apply that to hate. Really, allow yourself to be angry and allow yourself to you know stamp around for a
mm,
very short amount of time at the injustice
yeah.
of what these people may have done to you. But I think ultimately holding on to bad feeling, it's not good for you.
No, of
And
course not.
it's a waste of your time and energy.
It's not old in the past. I know. I was speaking to somebody the other day who were really hateful to me, and a long time ago, and when I had all the bad press, and they said
Mm,
to me, how can you talk to me now? And I says, well, I am, because I've forgiven everybody who's did that to me, and that's it. And they says, well, gosh, you must have some art. And I says, well, there you go. And but the trouble is, see, what you've got to realise is this: that eight is a big word because also you can hurt somebody.
Yeah.
When you've got eight, you can hurt somebody. And the trouble is, since you hurt that person, one word from eight can actually turn that person who you're hurting into possibly a suicidal person because you don't know what that person's going through.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it's like, we got to stop and think and look at our own selves and think, right, okay, what would that person do, if I said something to that person? So I think we need to kind of like balance things, but also kind of like start being respectful and, loving ourselves, but also loving other people.
I think it's difficult when life isn't the two-way street that it should be, though. It's quite. I think it can be quite difficult to be as black and white as that. Although I think when you sort of wipe everything away, I think that is ultimately the best way to be. What you're saying there.
Well, I wipe everything away because it's my faith, so it's what I believe in. It's a part of me. I don't share my faith with everybody because that's me. I don't go around kind of like preaching to people. I just kind of like, my faith is my personal point of view. But if anybody used to say things to me, I used to have a go at them. I used to punch them or hit them.
Yeah.
But no, I just stop and say, right, okay, And
see, there's that saying, forgive and forget.
Yeah.
And I struggle with that because as a person, I'm not naturally forgiving. And I prefer to just work on the forget aspect of it. I think that'd be more constructive for me. It's very, I'm not man enough to forgive. I think
the trouble is, so if you're going to forgive somebody, you need to forgive yourself first, because you're giving up the forgiveness. Do you get me?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it's a two-way thing.
But again, this brings it back to what we were saying at the start. That whole thing of doing certain things for yourself, forgiving yourself, don't feel guilty. These are all things which aren't naturally apparent to you when you are depressed or distressed or stressed. Yeah.
Really good. Thank you. Okay, stay there. Don't forget, guys, we've got this lovely, lovely Marianne on in around about 6 minutes, and she does, you can tell her to draw a circle and she'll make something out of it. Really good artist, really, really good. So tune in for that. Thank you for Mark for joining us tonight. As usual, you can see him on every Monday. We're always talking really good, really, really good. And actually, can I just say something to you? I was looking at the figures today for all different shows, and we're about third in the but we only just started, so we're about third in the like talk chart thing. So we're doing quite well at the moment. So that's really good. And it's all about kind of like helping other people and people who's listening and everything. So anyway.
Yeah, and it's also about not necessarily having the answers, but trying to find a answer together, as we sometimes do.
That's it. We might not have the answers, but we've got to share our love to one another. I know. You stay there. I'll get you to meet. Okay, guys. See you in a bit.